vicious nature of humans and social media in general is that there are more spectators and opinions for people's downfall rather than their success. There is something about human nature reveling in one's misfortunes, often a projection of their own shortcomings. An analysis and criticism of Hindi cinema in a respectful way is a rarity today, and mudslinging each element is the new norm. My capitalistic tendencies through the work that I do often get the better of me, tuning in for a film that I know would be a train wreck first and something that seems credible and an honest effort for later. I mean, people somehow just want to tune in to understand how awful a movie is just for the jokes, and the numbers will never lie to you that reviews bashing movies get way more engagement than raving about genuinely good storytelling. This is what I felt this weekend when I eventually saw Thar on Netflix and noticed the lack of discussion in popular forums because people will remind you of duds like Heropanti 2 but wouldn't want to glance at the formidable efforts being made by Hindi cinema in other spaces. Westerns in Hindi cinema have been few and far between. The elements that involve horse riding, a desolate village, gangs and dacoits, and the cat and mouse chase with the police were really entertaining films when executed in the commercial space. From the iconic Sholay, the over-the-top Joshile, the rather obscure Khuda Gawah, or a lot of people's guilty pleasure China Gate, all were presented at a pitch palatable for the mass audience, but we never really saw the same landscape be explored in an understated, subtle and stylized manner. Nothing really presented the same worlds like that of Unforgiven and True Grit, and the initial rushes of this film presented exactly that. The film, set in the desolate village of Monabo in 1985, focuses on Surekha Singh, played by Anil Kapoor, who notices mysterious activity taking place in the village and murders with no trail of a possible suspect, and a gang war that involves shady activity taking place across the border. His involvement in squashing the case puts him under threat. All of these events coincide with the arrival of a man who is presumably seeking for antiques to be sold in the city. Siddharth, played by Harshvardhan Kapoor, embarks upon a journey in Monabo that you least expect. The screenplay providing you no context but essentially is a slow burn, peeling like an onion one layer after the other in understanding his real purpose of visiting the village. This weekend boasts of movies that were visually stunning. Just like Sani Kaidam, Thar has been exceptionally shot, and it's absolutely inspiring to see women at the helm of affairs in both the cases, executing such fine work as DOPs. There is actually nothing more beautiful than the range of landscapes India provides to you in terms of capturing it on film. From an abundantly green environment to a desolate and dry countryside, this country honestly has everything. And as the makers have said, in the behind the scenes footage of the movie, you would actually think that the visuals are from Mexico or Texas, but it is Rajasthan in its most raw form. Shreya Dev Dubey has to be one of the heroes of this movie, guaranteeing such a cinematic gem with this film. Mostly working with natural light, Dubey had the uphill task of lighting characters well and presenting the frames with striking colors that doesn't make it absolutely devoid of life. While most of the costumes are unassuming and blend in with the visual landscape of the village, Dubey still has the ability to spark it in moments, sometimes with fire or a lantern, and there's no denying the fact that Thar might just be one of the best short films you'll see this year. The visuals are complemented with an eerie and distinct background score composed by Ajay Jayanti that is representative of the tone of the film and the engaging western that this film promises to be. Oftentimes, before a catastrophic event is going to take place, the movie integrates whistles, a rustling sound of something moving, an aggressive note of the violin increasing in its tempo, and all of it builds the slow unraveling of trying to understand why Siddhartha has come to this village. The film is not packed with heavy dialogues but is atmospheric in its approach, and a film can easily become boring with this kind of treatment. But Thar technically shines so much that you can't help yourself but be invested in the frames and its visual storytelling. There is no denying the criticism that this film is simplistic and predictable when it comes to the motives of its characters and what eventually transpires in the final act. But as I said in my previous review, is that audiences are actually not seeking for complex and confusing plots, but if those same simplistic emotional beats are executed with great detailing and precision, the impact hits right on the nose. The best part about a film like Thar is that it forces you to question every move of Siddharth. Is his purpose honestly to collect artifacts? Why is he stoic in his demeanor? Why does he only have monotone replies? And this performance by Harshvardhan Kapoor can be easily dismissed as deadpan, poker-faced, or exuding of no emotions. It actually reminded me of the initial ridicule that Ryan Gosling faced when he featured in the Nicholas Winding Refn film Drive. His character constantly had an empty gaze, he used to stare at the distance, spoke only when needed, and kept his vulnerability close to himself. People criticized the performance as Ryan hogging the frame and buying time in order to deliver rather simplistic dialogues. But the stillness of his performance is what captured you. The mystery of the man drew you in unexplainably, and this is what Harsh has done in this film, and successfully so. The man doesn't get enough love for the eccentric and unique choices that he makes in his career, and he deserves the praise for backing such a unique project as a producer as well. Raj Singh Chaudhary and Anurag Kashyap have carved out the dialogues of this film extremely well, highlighting the old school camaraderie and friendship beautifully, especially as the relationship between Anil Kapoor and Satish Kaushik gets explored. Referenced as Hukum throughout the film, the lack of activity in their life as officers and the excitement in dealing with finally some form of action and drama accounts for great veterans sharing the screen together. The supporting cast have done a phenomenal job, Fatima Sheikh delivering as the world and the script required. But it is hands down Anil Kapoor who steals the show for me. He is a national treasure and there's no two ways about it. There is this one scene in which his wife tells him of the life that they are living. She highlights on how it is the best if he carries on being the mediocre inspector that he is. As the camera pans towards Anil Kapoor's face, he just stares at the distance, almost breaking down from within, fearing his life ending as inconsequential and mediocre, just like his wife described. No words were needed to expand upon the same, just a gaze and his eyes almost filling up with tears. And that, my friends, is the impact that an actor can have in a moment. Not needing heavy dialogues, but a reaction, as most of acting is reacting, and if done right, it does the magic. Clocking in at 1 hour and 48 minutes, Thar is a cinematically beautiful western that, yes, is simplistic in its screenplay and motives, but unique in so many ways of the world and the characters explored in Hindi cinema. When Hindi cinema does try something different, original and unique, we seem to look away waiting for the next dud and to reference that as an indicator of its downfall. But in many ways, these kind of movies should be an active part of discussions where creators are trying to push the envelope in terms of filmmaking. If that is precisely what the audience deserves, we should also do our part of giving credit where it is due. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about the movie. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.